This is another, I couldn't think of the name of this, whatever kind of.
Slate.
Yeah, I guess it's slate, okay, I think that's what it is. A slate mold, and then I have like clapboard and tin roofs, and this is a shingle roof, this is the other one that you make, from doing the shingles. So, back to this piece, we're gonna turn it over, so I'm gonna turn it with the brick side down. I have my window, I have my door. For the window, the houses are not always proportionally correct. So like windows are one size, but if you're doing a candle house, you want the window big enough so that the light shines through all your, little cutouts that you do. So I have this piece here, it's just, a little rectangle, and I will cut a piece out. And I'm going to kind of keep this little piece for a minute. For the door, generally I'll cut the door out freehand, but in this case, I have one that's just the right size, so I'll use it. Then for these, sometimes I'll use a piece of scrap clay, and other times I'll use the piece I just cut out. Because what you want to do is you want to put a backing on the window and the door so you can add some dimension to it. You'll see in a minute, it will make sense. So I'll take this little piece here, roll it out thin, relatively thin, and to make sure that it's going to cover the opening that I have there. You'll also notice maybe that I'm not being super careful to keep things, like you're not supposed to move your clay around like that because it has a memory and it will go back there, but because I'm joining all these pieces together, it is a consideration, but it's not as important as if you're doing, a flat piece or whatever, because I'm going to be joining it anyway. So I have these two pieces, door and a window, thinly rolled out, my scratching tool, which one thing I didn't say, but it's true, everybody has different ways of how they do this, what tools they use, and so forth. This is what I've just always used, and this is the way I've done it, because the other thing is, I'm going to scratch. So I've scratched around each opening, and then I use vinegar and water. And you can use slip. I was always told that there's a chemical reaction between the vinegar and the clay. I don't know if it's 100% true, but it works for me, so this may or may not be, I don't know, but this is what I use and it works.
Is that like a 50-50?
Yeah, about 50-50. It's kind of smelly, but a side note is my kids say when they smell vinegar, they think of me. So. Okay, so I'm going to put vinegar all around, and then I'm going to take my door and my window, and to attach them, I usually use this little tool. Again, we all do something different, but I use this little tool and go around all of the edges, to make sure it adheres.
This is the inside, right?
This is the inside.
And that's not messing up the texture on
Not
the other
yet.
side.
Not yet. Now, this is a little rough looking with all those little things, but then I'll smooth it out. The reason I smooth it out is not just to make sure that it's attached, but also because you're going to see the inside of this house because the roof's going to come off. So, you don't want all those little marks. All right, so there we have our window and our door.
So neat.
And the reason, we're going to put some steps. I think I might got this a little high, but steps are going to go here, which is why it's up a little higher. And once you have that, you want to cut out your windows, the cutouts for the windows and the door. So for the windows, this is one of my favorite tools for windows, and I would like to say where I got it, but I don't remember. I've just had it a really long time. I think you can get them at hobby stores.
I think so.
I think that's what they are.
I think they're longer.
Yeah, they're longer,
Yeah.
and I guess, I don't know, maybe you can ask them to cut them. I I've had these for so long I don't remember anymore. What I like better are the ones that have like a little plunger.
Right.
Because these you have
I
to.
don't know what they use them for.
I don't either, but they're great for windows. So I'll do 2 of these, and I'll take my little loop tool or a pin tool. You have to take the clay out each
Sometimes
time.
they sell it with a little slider thing that goes in, pushes it out.
And that
for
is
you.
better.
plunger
Yes,
thing?
the little
Yeah,
plunger
that's what
thing.
the plunger does. But
Maybe So-
for
but they
cake
sell these
decorating.
with a. I don't know. It's in the hobby part. It's in the
That's
building
metal.
part.
That's nice. that it's
Well,
metal.
It might be for balsa wood.
Oh, then maybe they are.
Oh,
So I'll do this, and then I'll do hearts or teardrops or whatever. Each one is different. You do what you're in the mood for that day. So I'll do a couple little
I haven't
hearts.
seen those. Those are cute. Get the tool. Get the tool.
Making sure I have the heart in the right direction because I've done that before. And then with the door, it's the same thing. Only difference is that with the door, sometimes you want to do something that gives it a little more depth. Like you might want to use, I don't know if I have some good stamps to use here, but you might want to use some type of stamp. I have a heart. Let's see if that works. To make a little impression on it, and then do your cutouts inside of that. Again, it just adds some depth and some interest to it. So I'll put a couple more cutouts here. And then for that bottom, I think I will find my plunger. This is what always happens. I lose all my tools. Did I put it back in here?
I saw you put it back in here.
You did, okay. So I'm going to do this because it's, I don't know if 2 will fit. Well, let's see. I wouldn't normally make big giant ones like this because it's too thin and it doesn't really look very good. But there it is. We're not going to use this one, so it's okay. Then the last couple things you want to do on this is you want to put a doorknob on. So I use the pin tool to scratch for this because it's so tiny. Tiny bit of vinegar. Kind of a big doorknob, but that's okay. And then
Accentuate the
I will also use this. I've used the inside of an ink pen before. Something with just a little something, because what that does is it presses it in to make sure that it's in there. So, it can be decorative too. So that's the beginning of it. Then the next step would be to add shutters and to add some extrusions around the door. So for the shutters, we scratch each side here. And then for the shutters, sometimes I'll use colored clay, that I've made. Other times I will just use the same kind of clay and then paint, glaze it with a different color. So for the shutters, I roll it a little bit thinner, not super thin, but a little bit thinner than this. Again, I have my little mold. And if I'm doing a lot, I keep them kind of close together, press up and down to make sure that you have a good one. I just need 2 here, so that's good enough. And then I'll cut these. Oh, you know what? I always forget this part too, but I remember before I put them on. Scratch the back. It's probably going to adhere anyway because this clay is not too dry, but the more you scratch each piece, the better off you are. I've gotten away with not doing it, but
So you leave a border on it.
yeah, and I just cut down the center here.
Put them really close.
And when you're putting these are a little bit thick. I could have made this just a tad thinner. When you put the shutters on, what you want to think about if you're doing a bunch of them is that the louvers all go the same way. So you don't have it. So again, these are a tad thick, but it's okay.
Sweet.
And then again, make sure they're adhered. want to make sure those corners, because that's where they have a tendency to lift up, the corners. And then for the door, this is the fun part.
Lentil.
You scratch. For these, I use clay gun. And these, the ones I
one of
have.
those, I've never used it.
Oh,
I
it's so
I
fun.
can't wait.
It's so fun. And another thing I thought about while I was preparing for this is that the clay gun, I'm gonna go ahead and take my wedding ring off because
my
it always
God.
gets in the way. These cost like, I don't know, $10 or $12. Well, I just went and bought 2 new ones, and they're $22. I thought, well, you know, everything goes up. So for these, sometimes if the clay is a little bit dry or if I haven't used it, I'll squirt just a little bit of water in here to make sure that it's going to go through. And then just roll a little coil here. This one has a
What's the
square
shape?
opening.
Okay.
So I have lots of different ones.
So it really does make sense to do more than one of these at a time.
It really does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And let me see if I have enough to get this. This is what I call my 3-parter. I'm just gonna put a little in here.
Why a 3-parter?
3-parter because it's
It looks
3
straight.
parts. It's got 3 little things on it. So
Oh.
for I'll put the top one first,
Like a
the top of
molding.
the door. I don't usually scratch these. You probably could, and it certainly wouldn't hurt, but it's usually wet enough that you really don't have to scratch the back of the extrusions. And again, this is, you can do whatever. This is just the way I do it. So I usually use a square one on the top, and then for the sides, I'll fit it up and I'll butt this up against the top first.
Can you see past? Yeah. So do you measure that top one, or are you gonna?
I
cut
just
that
eyeballed it and then I'm gonna
okay.
cut it.
You are gonna cut it?
Yeah, it's a little crooked there, but not too bad. I usually cut it a little bit bigger than what I know it's gonna be
And then go back?
and then go back, yeah. So what you wanna do is just, butt it up. What you don't wanna do is stretch it out, because when you stretch it out, it's gonna have a tendency to crack. Smooth that a little. Okay, so I scratched a little bit too much on the outside here, but sort of. So this is what it's gonna, this clay is a little soft. So this is what it's gonna look like. You can put little, depending on what you're doing, you can put little decorations up here, and put some little, whatever. In this case, I'm not gonna put anything else on it. Usually, actually, I'll show you what we usually do, and this is definitely from Windy Meadows. We call them dingleberries, okay? You roll the clay with this little 3-parter like this, and you go back and forth and down, so that you've got this. It's just a little, and then, in this case, there's not enough room, but you could just put these on the top,
That could hold the shutters.
or,
Don't they look like
yeah,
they're
you could put
shutters?
them, yes, you could put them anywhere. This is a little
That-
big here,
we
but
get
anyway,
ya.
you get the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
You get
yeah.
the idea. And you can also, you can do some little impressions on the top here, whatever, until you're ready to build.
I wanna see the steps.
We'll get to the steps. Okay, so that's the one piece. This roof is one I'm going to use to build the house. But I did want to talk about, I'm trying not to make this too long, but I did want to talk about the shingles, because for this one I did the mold, the shingles. But if I'm doing a house that I want to look nicer, I'll do regular shingles. And so what I'll do is, since I have to use that one piece, let's just use this. Let's pretend that this is our roof, okay? Make it a little bit better. So if this is our roof, what I'll do is I'll scratch the entire roof. Then I'll take a piece of clay and roll it pretty thin. And this is gonna look like more work than what it really is. Once you get into the zone, it's really not. So for this, I'm gonna cut shingles. So what I'll do is, I will just make, you just do this freehand. It does not have to be exactly the same, because you really, you don't want it to look exactly the same, you know? You want it to look a little bit different. You can scratch the back of these, you know, it just kind of depends on how much you're doing. So this is not really gonna look good on this because this is a little tiny piece, but I do want to show it. So you take the little shingles, you start on one side,
Precious the top.
and then you start on the other side, so that way you can adjust it in the middle. Like if this was long, you know, you'd be starting over here and over here, and then,
Go ahead.
well, you keep, it looks a little funny, doesn't it? So the reason why is because, let's say, all right, so you want it to end evenly on each side, and so you may have to adjust one of these little shingles.
What about the next row? Right.
And then the next row,
We're all thinking ahead. we're one step ahead of you.
I'm dealing with professionals here. The next one, you just overlap them.
All right. You don't alternate them?
You,
Offset 'em, or- Yeah, because see
No,
how these
you
are
can-
offset?
yeah, you do kind of try to offset them. These, I guess maybe because it's smaller, you know, it's not
harder,
lending
yeah,
itself as
right,
well.
right.
I'll make this one a little higher, that'll help. And here's a little skinny one. And you just go, you know, on up to the top of the house.
That's how the real guys do it.
Yeah, they
These
might
are
do
like
more.
cedar shingles, right? Is that the idea?
Or slate.
Yeah, it's
It
just,
could be slate or cedar.
yeah, either one. But
But
yeah,
for the
cedar, they
side-
do look like cedar. Yes, you're right, they do.
You want to put some texture.
But in this
it.
case, you know,
Yeah,
so
that would be cedar.
you'd have your whole roof, and it does look nice, and then when you glaze
does
it,
awesome.
of course, it
Yeah.
looks really nice, because there's a lot of
It could also
texture
be the
inside.
side of the
I
house
thought
if
you
you
were
want to do
doing
that
side
for the
of
whole
the
thing.
house with that.
Oh,
That would drive you
no.
crazy, but
This
yes,
is-
you could. Big heavy too.
It
But
would
in
be
this
heavy.
case, we're gonna use the pre-done
Well, she
one.
could use that for the side of the house if she wants it a
Which
little
would be
shingly.
easier.
Yeah, a little
And
easier.
thinner.
Right.
So
All
we're gonna
right.
put these away,
Make a
and
dollhouse
then
out of that.
Thinking out loud.
gonna leave this here,
Susan.
and then we're gonna build a house.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna get my real pieces out here,
Aww.
Pre-done.
pre-done, so that we don't have to watch me put on, you know,
Oh, good.
10 pairs of shingles, and
You're going to use the one you just did though, right?
I'm gonna use no, I already have one
Oh.
already done, so I'll just use that, because, especially since I forgot the pattern. And these I'm gonna set over here.
Happy
All
hour.
right.
But keep a
Running
lid
out of
on it because it attracts fruit flies.
So I'll use a board and
If you have fruit flies, if you don't have
a
them,
little
it doesn't
turntable.
create them, but
I always put
doesn't make the eggs.
And this is gonna go a lot faster than what you would expect, because the hard part, or the part that's labor intensive, is doing all these things. That's what takes the time. So for the house, I'm gonna scratch the back and the sides. I'm gonna wait to scratch the front until I
is the
see
foundation.
exactly where it's gonna land. And I always start with this side,
That's the back.
and I'll scratch both sides
So you
and the
don't
bottom.
bevel?
Actually, I'll go ahead and
This
scratch
one.
this too for when I do the roof.
Wow.
And actually, let me get my clay out first before I do this.
Do you ever do beveled edges?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Do
hear
you
you.
ever do beveled edges?
Beveled. Beveled,
Beveled
yes, sometimes. For the roof, I'll do beveled. For this, I don't do beveled. I'll show you why, because
Do tell us why.
might need my water bottle here in a minute. Gonna use the vinegar here. Go ahead and do both sides.
Because it's sides.
And just
Okay.
press it down. Then I use my water
I
bottle.
was gonna say you need to.
I use my water bottle to make sure. I'll go ahead and do a coil here. Sometimes I'll do a coil by hand like this. Sometimes I'll just use the extrusion. If you use the extrusion, the advantage is that it's all the same size. Whereas when you do a coil, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But In this case, we'll just do this. I'm
Getting my extruder.
I am too.
They're so fun. They're so fun.
I just
All right,
hate
so
cleaning.
this is the back of our house,
I know, I have a couple I never used them either.
and I'm going to do the same thing. Scratch 3 sides.
Say again?
For cleaning the inside of the extruder toothbrush.
Oh, a toothbrush, good, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And then you just, obviously, just, press it here. I'm going to go over all of these seams again when I'm done. But I want to get it constructed to get it started. You push down. But I will do the coils as I go, because once you get it completely assembled, it's harder to reach in there to do those coils.
What are you doing the last one? Guess we'll find out.
From the ceiling.
Yeah, from the roof.
And I've experimented different ways to do these coils. I've tried, like I say, just rolling them. I've tried the extrusions. I've also tried, like, taking this little tool and, straight here or there, and pushing it into the seams. And, that helps too. But in the end, this just seems to be the easiest way to do it. So we've got 3 sides. There's that hair. Oh.
Not mine.
All right, so we'll get our other side. Same thing, scratch. And this is why I don't bevel this, because the way I'm joining it,
It's
I'm
flat.
butting it up side to side. I've accounted for that in my final size.
Got a hair on there too.
Yes, I know, it's quite annoying.
They burn out.
If it was just a little thicker, I could do the horsehair thing,
There you go.
Now, a lot of times, at this point, I will have to make some adjustments. So in this case, it's all fitting well, but it might be that it's a little too long, and I'll just, like if the floor is out a little too far, if I didn't do my pattern carefully enough, then I'll cut it.
Well, it's better too far than too short, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So what would you do if it turns out to be a little short? Is there a way to
Well, you
fix
know what?
that?
That's a good question. If it turns out to be too short, if possible, what I'll do is I will trim the pieces
On both.
and try to make them fit.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. That would
So-
be a pain.
Yeah. And I'll also sometimes, depending on, use this to, before I do the coil.
What is that?
Just a little tool that sort of smooths it out before I put the coil in.
It's a curved thing?
Yeah, it's a little curved thing. And another thing
Are
is,
you putting coils up the sides too?
yeah, I'm putting coil up the sides too. And I'm also being careful to make sure that there is plenty at the very top here, because this is where it's going to have a tendency to come apart.
Right.
What a great idea for a gift.
Or do somebody's own house.
Yeah, it is. I've done it for
They're expensive.
for children and relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I would ever
That's
do it
that's
for.
about it.
I did my own house, and
Ah, did you?
yeah, it was a lot of work.
It's a lot of work when you do a real house, particularly because you're trying to get it right.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a certain way. In this case, I'm building a very simple house here.
Yeah.
There's not really too much.
And there's only one story.
There's no
on this one.
dormers. It's only
Right.
one
Do
story.
you paint it?
Real houses are not like that.
Do
Yeah.
you paint it?
When I worked at Windy Meadows, she had a big gas kiln, and she did them all, a certain way. They really weren't colored. They were. She did like a matte
Earthy.
glaze, but she did it to cone 10 and a gas kiln, and so that right there made it look pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and scratch my front here. When I'm building one, if I'm going to be interrupted, or if I know, like if it's a complicated one and I know I'm going to take longer, it's the tops here that you want to be careful of, that because they're gonna dry out. So if I usually try to at least, even if I have more to do, at least get the roof on. And then that way you can cover it all in plastic
Come back.
and come back, right? Okay. Now, this is a little bit harder when you have to get in here to do the coils. In this case, since I'm doing the steps, I don't have to worry about a coil where the door is. On another one, you would have to be careful there because you don't want to push the door out by trying to press a coil in that little skinny piece of clay or that thin piece of clay. But in this case, it's fine. Okay, almost done here. Let me get this last little piece. Okay. So there we have our pieces, and then before I do anything else, I'll kind of go around all the edges. From the floor, I'll push up to make everything to make sure, that it's secure. I'll make sure these edges aren't too sharp around the bottom also. Okay, well, I could probably do a little more here, but that's good. So for the roof, the first thing I do is either put my initials in it, or if it's for somebody, so and so and so and so, blah, 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 year, date, whatever. So I'll just put my initials here. And this is when I do bevel it. There's different ways of attaching it, but the beveling seems to work best for me for the roof. So I'll bevel the top. The sides are already scratched. I'll sort of hold it up to the house to see where exactly it's going to hit and scratch. Yeah, do this first. I'm trying not to be too detailed here, but this won't stand.
Is this going to
Okay.
be for candles?
Yeah, you can put, so she always did candle houses, and so I have two, and if you're doing a candle house, if you're going to use a real candle, you should make it at least 6 inches high. Higher is okay, but you want to make it at least 6 inches.
How about if you use like a little tea light?
If you use, that's what, even a tea light,
Even
you
a
should
tea
have
light
it
is
at least
6
6 inches high.
Well, that looks 6
But you
inches.
also can use those little electric candles
Right.
that they have.
Right, but for how do you get it in?
Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that. I was being pushed.
I need to know now.
I'll tell you, we're gonna take the roof off. Well, after we put the roof on,
You're going to take it off?
we're gonna
again?
take it off.
Oh, so, but you're sealing it.
I am,
Okay. I'm
but
sorry.
seals
Oh,
are
this
made
is
to be
such a
broken.
mystery.
All right, so I'm coiling the inside here. I'm not being super exact and careful here because it's gonna change. Then I'm gonna take my other piece, gonna bevel it, and I'm going to remember to write something on this piece. It should be beveled just a little more.
You can crop. Can you crop yours? That's a good one. Oh, but it shows the material. There.
On this piece, I'm going to write the word front so that we know what the front of the house is. And actually, because A lot of times, this will be my front, the tall one, but this is the short one. So really, front should be written on this other piece and not my initials. So I'll put back.
That'll work.
Yeah, there we go. Same thing, vinegar, but we can't coil this one yet because we can't reach our hands in there. But I'm going to adhere it pretty good.
But I like
Oh, that roof's gorgeous.
but she's looking at the people.
And I sort of feel along the sides here to make sure that this is even. You know, sometimes you'll put the roof on and you've got like an inch over here and a quarter inch over here if you're not paying attention. So I'll make sure this is good and secure. Do this a little bit too, because I'm going to put a little coil up here to make it look good when we're done. Okay, so now for the fun part. We're going to take the roof off.
What?
We're going to take the roof off. What I'm going to do is get my ruler. This little piece here mimics the angle of the roof. So I'm going to take this and cut it in half. And I use the ruler because I can't seem to do a straight line. So
You had the
So I'll
template
cut
for as
this.
well?
and I will go ahead and scratch it to get it ready.
The sides, the points on the sides.
So you made that before?
Yes, I
Ahead
made
of
this
time,
before
okay.
because I've put it together and I took, if I had the pattern pieces, I
Right,
would
so
show you.
this
but I do
was one of
not.
the pattern pieces then, right?
I use
okay.
it from the pattern piece and I make it. So then the next thing to do is to look at your roof. And first of all, I'm going to make sure these seams are together. And I'm going to go up about where the sides of the house are, and then it starts to angle in. I'm going to go up about maybe a quarter inch or so after the angle goes up.
Are you cutting it off?
I'm cutting it
Oh
off.
my God. That would kill me.
I know.
It's really scary when you first do it, yes, it is.
Oh, that's why you need front and back too.
Yes, that's why you need front and back. Take this down. The other thing to be careful of is, which I hope I've accounted for, is these little windows on the top. Hopefully
Right.
that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it.
Oh,
I'm going to go up.
This is crazy.
seriously?
It's doing some steps.
Okay, there's one side. Bless you.
That was Julie. That was Julie's.
Okay, so I'm going to gently pull each side up.
Oh,
Then I'm going to clear space away so I don't have all this little clay nuggets getting all over it.
oh my
Oh
Send
my
it.
God, hold on. You have to take pictures.
Yeah, that's the part that's always like when you first do it, it's like, is this going to work?
There
Or
is
this
no
this
way
doesn't
I would
seem
cut
good.
it.
So
I
that's
know why you have to.
That's why you were able to put the front notification on the inside of the roof.
Yes, that's why you do it, because when you take it off, you think, which way did this go?
Right, but you can be seen. Oh, wow.
And then you finish coiling your roof, because I didn't do that before.
Yeah, I can see you doing
Uh-huh. Not.
You know,
But
being
look, I
careful
mean,
not to push the eaves, or I don't know
I mean,
if these
she's
are called eaves.
rushing,
But
but look how quickly she's doing
I
it, really.
know, it's amazing.
So I won't be super careful in the interest of time here, but
You got it.
that's the idea.
Yeah, then where did these
So-
guys go?
Well, I'm going to put those on the house. Let me
Patience.
get this, and then I'm going to bevel each of
trying
these
to guess.
sides. So right here, where it's going to go back on, I'm going to bevel it.
Wow.
This is not my favorite beveling tool. I didn't bring my big one. I was trying not to bring 5 million tools. Okay, so that's done. Then we're gonna take it, flip it over. And obviously, you know, you wanna try to keep it still without, you know, without pushing this down too far, especially when you're doing these little coils, because it's easy, you know, to push it way in, trying to get them secure in there.
How long have you been making these?
Since the 80s.
You
have to listen better.
I knew you said you were there in the 80s. I didn't know you were
Well,
doing the houses in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done them nonstop since then, but, you know, once you do something for a couple of years,
Yeah,
you,
it's
yeah,
memory.
Riding
As long,
by.
yeah, as long as you come back to it. It's
yeah,
all
as long
right,
as you
yeah.
come back to it. Although I will
Although
have
you
to
can
say,
forget.
I took a, I'm not that good on the wheel. I took a wheel class many years ago, and I wasn't too bad at it. And then my kids got me a wheel for my 60th birthday. I thought, great. Man, do I struggle. It's like, you know.
A totally different
Yeah.
approach to
To
pottery.
making.
Yes. All right, so I've already scratched these pieces. Now I'm gonna scratch each side, and then I'm gonna do a good old vinegar and press it up against here.
Oh, so that's
About
gonna keep it from
halfway, so
sliding
that,
off.
yeah, so that half of it is above and half of it is adhered to the clay.
Gotcha.
And obviously, just, you know, try not to distort.
Don't try
And
to
for this
screw
piece
something
here,
else.
this is really not a good one to use because you don't want to
Scrape it.
make indentations into it where if there are glazed drips or something, it has a tendency. So, but I do it anyway, so there it is. And then you also want to be careful not to turn your house around on your little board and ram it into the roof, which I have also done. So, let me scratch.
Yeah, I have a big metal, what is it, trimming thing, but I have 3 of those Rubbermaid ones that I think I use them more.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the turntable ones.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wondered about that because I thought,
use
why
the
am I
taller
still
one.
using this old turntable? And I thought,
I
well,
have
it
3.
works.
I use
What
it
is he
more than my
saying?
metal
No,
one.
no, what's the middle
Banding
one
wheel.
called?
Oh,
A banding wheel.
Banding wheel.
Ah,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's for banding. But you band.
I'm in a band.
Where do you play?
okay.
Okay, hi.
So now I know what's the back and what's the front. I didn't really finish this, but you know, you coil it well. So here's our front and this is the back. And now we're gonna see if it fits.
Da, 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 da.
Oh my.
Okay. And it does. And this is something I do several times before I am finished, is double check. Does this still work? Does this still work? And obviously you need to be careful when glazing and so forth. And then you can make, on this,
That's what I was going to
this,
say. Do you do
yeah, this little
something?
side, you can do little heart things or, you know, whatever, just to make it look good.
You could even write a family name on there.
You could write, yeah.
Oh, home sweet home.
So for this
Oh,
one,
sweet home.
the chimney. Okay, well, we might as well get everything done here, all right? The chimney, I cut the chimney piece. I cut 2 pieces like this, press it into the brick, do the chimney. And using the pattern, I, you know, follow the angles. And then I'll cut both of these
You know where?
and
with the
join it
corner.
kind of the same way as the house. I'll take these 2 big pieces, scratch them on the inside, and then these 2 I'll scratch on the sides. I'm not being super careful to get the top edge, but you do want to be careful to get the top edge there scored. And again, you know, you're gonna distort some of this brick, or not distort it, I guess, but smooth it out a little bit too much. But you know, honestly, it doesn't detract. It really doesn't.
Do you
ever put a hole so that the smoke has a way to
Yes,
come through?
yes, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I-
See, she does.
Yes, I
They're
do.
laughing at me.
No, I'm not laughing at you, I just.
Now you can also, you know, you can bevel these to make it fit a little better, but this is a little chimney. It should be fine. And so I will scratch where it's going to meet the roof.
You put an incense cone inside the house and really
Yeah,
make a.
yeah.
And
just
one more thing, I do want to get my 3-parter before I put the chimney on, and just sort of scratch along here,
Oh, and do a thing.
just to kind of finish it off because, you know, I smushed it and it doesn't really look that good. If you're using those little shingles like this, then I'll just put one more row of shingles on each side up at the top to finish it off.
Fold them off.
Yeah.
A roofer will love you.
Oh, that's got a little thing. Let's see, will that fit? Yeah, okay.
Oh, cool.
And you just sort of press it, you know, without distorting it, that good old distortion. I'll put some little dots over here when we're done, and then we'll vinegar the chimney.
Smell good.
Let's see, let's put the chimney on this side.
And that helps it adhere too.
And my chimney's falling apart a little because I'm rushing, but, and then I'll take, I used
We got lots of time.
I used to have a little hole thing to make the hole, but I lost it somewhere along the way and I haven't replaced it. So I'll just take this little tool and cut a hole. It's not quite as neat, but you know, it does the trick. And then for around the chimney, I'll double check all these. The chimney should adhere pretty well because, you know, you get it on there pretty good. It's not in a place that has stress, so it's probably going to be fine. Then I'll get my 3-parter and put vinegar around the chimney and just sort of, I'll take the like this is 3 parts. I'll take the one little part and put that press it in, right. And then pushing, I'll go round, but I'm pushing, I'm not pulling and stretching. I'm trying to compress a little bit when I go around these corners, again, so that it doesn't crack. I need to turn this around. Okay. And then to finish it off, for the chimney that is, we'll just put on either side to hide those little seams. We'll do a little dot. Okay, and then we're almost done. You can do whatever you want on the front. Like you can make a little rug at the front door. You can put a broom. You can make a little chair. I mean, a little cat on the rug, whatever. You know, you can just have fun with it. But the one thing we do need here is our steps. So for the steps, I'll get some of this clay over here. Oh, I had some little pieces. Well, that's all right. I'll just cut a piece. So for the steps, let's see. I'll just eyeball it. I never do pieces for the steps because you kind of don't know until you're done.
Details are amazing.
You can do so many details. I mean, you can just have a lot of fun with it. For the steps, you know, depending, I guess I better do brick on these two. Depending on how many steps you have. In this case, I'm only going to have 2 steps, and so I don't think that it will be too thick. What I could do is I could take a little round hole cutter and make a little hole on the bottom so that it's not too thick. So when I put the steps on top of that, you know, that I don't have any problem. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then let's see if these steps fit. I guess I'll scratch the bottom too. It's a little tight here for the steps, but oh, let me do the front of the step too. Okay. Oh, whoops! Scratch vinegar. Okay, that works out pretty good. And then any places where I've got little seams or places where it doesn't really end well, I'll either do one of these little dingleberry things. So actually, let me do that, and then I'll turn it around and you can see. I think this will work. Yeah, okay. And
Little piece. My finger can.
I used them to clean. One more little one. Wrong one. I don't have enough left in here.
I know, we should say I toothbrush.
On the inside, it fits.
You know,
Get a small one, a
I've
little
got
reach
some
brush.
teeny brushes that came with the metal straws that I bought.
Oh, yeah, right. Whoa. Nice knowing you.
Must weigh more than I thought.
It was all those cookies.
I know, those snacks.
Okay, and then we'll just smooth this.
Yeah, I've got
Put
I
our
hadn't
roof
thought
back
of that.
I
on.
got
got
it.
those
If you
too.
want one. let me know.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
Pick the roof up. You want to pick it up by the corner here because you've got plenty of. So you're picking it up like this, and it's fine. And this is our back.
Wow.
Gorgeous.
Okay. And that's it. And you can do it.
Wow.
And a bush.
That's not a bush, it's
Spin it around again.
Dog.
Spin it around again.
From a distance, it looks like a bush.
Oh, and then one more thing.
Oh, nice.
No more demonstrations. Just
Oh, yeah, let's see if
I thought I'd bring one finished.
Wow.
Oh, now that I like the groove. Look at that.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
And then you can, these little electric candles.
So you extruded white clay here.
I did,
Yeah.
yes. And in fact, there's a little broken one there where I probably didn't follow one of my rules about, compressing.
That's sweet.
Dormers on this one.
Yeah, that one is a
Yeah.
fancy one.
Wow. Oh my God, this
So
has
that's how
been
you make a tree house.
amazing. Oh my God. I had no idea what you were talking about when you said you'll come and build houses.
Okay.
Well, the other thing about these is that you can do simple ones or whatever. They can be, like this is a candle house. You can make a birdhouse. You can make a container. You can make little houses that, like hold little bits of jewelry or whatever. They can do all sorts of things.
Look at the little
Thank
the fringes. Now, was that colored clay also? Blue?
That is colored clay, yes. I took the white.
And then what did you fire this? You said cone 6?
Cone 6, this is cone 6.
Is this just iron oxide?
Yes, that's just iron oxide.
And then this is just clear glaze?
Yes, that's just clear. That's just clear. This is white clay that I colored blue because I thought it would look nicer. You can obviously use the other clay, but I thought the white would
Can we
look
lift
nice
the
and hold
roof
the
up for a
color.
second?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Yes.